The cars that serve as traditional lowriders were originally designed and built in Detroit. They were sent around the world and eventually inspired a number of automotive customization cultures, many of which work their way back to the Motor City itself. In Los Angeles, late 1930s, Pachuco culture popularized the low-slung stance that came to be a low-riding social and stylistic statement. In the 1950s, LA innovated hydraulic suspensions with the ability to adjust the car's ride height while still driving. This was a response to the law enforcement's targeted crackdowns, but it became a qualifying modification of lowriders soon thereafter. Since then, lowriding has traveled across time, cultures, communities, and the world, as it has developed its own unique characteristics in various locales on its round-trip voyage back into the heart of Detroiters, where the culture is integrated into the lives of riders and their families.
Well, I've been lowriding roughly about a little over 20 years. Started in Compton, California, where I was growing up. I'm passionate about cars, period. But just in in California in general, I mean, I had bunch of friends that they had lowrider cars, and basically started just watching the older guys with riders. I started with bikes, and went from there, just fell in love with it. Yes, when I was going to school, I used to pass through one of my, buddy's house, and his brother used to have a lowrider that was in the Majestics, Compton, and I used to see that car, on just about every day, just going to school and coming back. Another one had a '64 Impala, which is I got into his car. Probably he took me for a little ride. Probably I was about 10, 11. From that point on, I said, man, I'm gonna get me one of these cars at some point. And now I mean, I have so many of them now. I can, just in my backyard and my neighbors' properties, buddies' houses, at work. I mean, it's passionate about lowriders. I'm originally from Compton, California. Moved to Southwest Detroit, and I'm part of the Majestics Detroit. Wanted to open up my own business. I was kind of sick of, just going to your average 9 to 5 in California, and I wanted to make a little more money. So I had an opportunity here to come back to Detroit and open up a tire shop, which is I did. I had it for about a year, a little over a year. But that was how I came in here. And obviously, a lot of my wife's family and a lot of my family are based here in Detroit. Just my parents didn't like Detroit. That's how we ended up in California. When I got here, then we started doing our thing, and some people like what we were doing, and some people didn't, and they just kept doing what they're building their cars according to how they liked it, and it's all good. But we just like them a certain way, and just build them the way we would like them. And apparently a lot of people did like what we were doing. Cali style lowriding. Sometimes you building a car to compete against the next guy, and somehow, some way you end up, a lot of the times you end up being buddies with that guy. If you're not a hater, you're gonna compliment the next guy, and you're gonna you end up being friends. You end up being cool. You network with each other, and he might help you out on something you may need, and vice versa. Because of lowriding, I come to hang out with people that I probably would have never associated, if they were not into lowriding. For the most part, I mean, cars in general, and especially lowrider, will bring people together. I still have my '59 Ford retractable since I was 19. I still own that car to this day. That's the car that got me in this club. I had a Regal Blue Magic. It was a hopper.
So the first blessing of the Lowriders was back in the late 90s, and it was at St. Anne's. They have a plaza there. If you've ever been to St. Anne's, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's a beautiful plaza. We set up cars and bikes, and Father Maurice Restivo blessed the bikes and the cars there, and some of the people haven't been to church in a very long time. Some never been, but they knew that they had a purpose and a reason to be there.
In the late 1990s, Victor Villalobos brought the local faith community together with neighborhood youth to celebrate the first Blessing of the Lowriders at the historic St. Anne's Catholic Church in Southwest Detroit. Victor and the St. Anne's Youth Group went on to create the Heat Wall on St. Anne's and Verner. The Heat Wall, short for Hip-Hop Elements Exposed Throughout Time, was a large-scale graffiti mural project culminating in a street festival that brought together the various elements of hip-hop, lowriders, and members of the community to uplift local art, champion mentoring, and celebrate local culture through shared experiences and deepened relationships. The Blessing was founded to bring these groups of people together in order to break stereotypes held between them at the time. But for more than 20 years now, the Blessing of the Lowriders has brought together faith, culture, and community in Southwest Detroit through the celebration of creativity and shared passions. This is the power of culture for community building.
Looking back on that day, it was definitely a blessed day. I didn't think I knew what I was doing back then. I didn't think it was going to be a big movement. I didn't think it was going to be a big thing. When you reach out to a kid, you really want to help them. You want to see what they're into. Some of my kids at the time were into breakdancing, some were into graffiti, some were into basket weaving. So it's something, what you have to do is capture what they're into. You can't go up to them with an open Bible or start preaching scripture because they're going to take off. They were so accepting and so inclusive that they wanted me around, and they just wanted somebody to listen to them. To somebody to make them feel like they mattered, somebody to make them feel like it's important what they do. One of the first things they wanted me to help them with was to break the stereotype of lowriders being gang members. Some of them own cars, some of them own bicycles, but it was the passion of the whole family getting together on one car, one vehicle, whether it's a car or a bicycle, coming together to make it something different, to make it something that they're proud of, something they can take to shows and events and say, that is my bike, whether 10 people worked on it or just one. In Mexican culture, we take things to the priest to get blessed, whether it's cars, chains, houses. The priest comes over, has tamales, and blesses the house. I started it because there was a need for kids to be expressive, also to be inclusive, also to be included in the neighborhood. The idea that I told them that we were going to go to church and have the bicycles blessed, they probably about half of them laughed at me and said, I'm not doing it. But then the older members said, no, this is something we need to do. And we showed up and we took a few of the pews, and it wasn't so much about them learning about church. It was introducing the church to younger people that are different from what they see. The younger people that are different from all the other younger people, and introducing them to church. And once you have that, there's a common bond that the older people love cars, the younger people do love cars as well, and they start talking about it. It was just trying to get two different kinds of people that are in the same neighborhood, in the same backyard, to talk, to be a part of community, to be a part of something. And that was a beautiful thing to see. Here we are many years later, doing it still. And it's definitely important. It's definitely something that all the lowriders look to, something that this neighborhood looks forward to. One of our newest lowriders, Nyasia, was given a lowrider car because of her passion and her drive with helping the youth in the neighborhood. And I couldn't be more proud and more positive about that's the right person that we gave it to.
So during the 2019 Blessing of Lowriders, I received a surprise, which was the 84 Cadillac Coupe de Ville, originally made in Southwest Detroit, all original.
She was born and raised in this neighborhood, and so was that car. So this is an awesome blessing to have somebody like that, with that young person with that kind of drive, and I can't wait to see the outcome of that car. It's already a beautiful car. It's gonna be even better when she's working on it.
In my head, the whole year, we were getting ready to turn this car into a community car, and we had ideas about it, and we were talking about color schemes together. We were talking about details on making it like a car for the organization, and the whole time it was being organized to give to me. And when they told me that, I was going crazy. Like 1,000 things went through my mind, and I couldn't even express the gratitude and even the excitement to continue the lowriding culture in Southwest. I remember first time seeing lowriding during the Cinco de Mayo parade. I would see the bikes first, and then you would see them followed by the cars. I specifically remember a mini truck and seeing the hydraulics on the back of their trunk just moving around, and I thought that was super dope. I grew up on Carson Street, a couple houses away from my grandparents, and literally right across the street from Mary Luevanos, and so I think that impacted a lot of different arts and culture activities and things that I wouldn't have even known about without living just on a really tight-knit block. Her son, Johnny, would always be taking apart and building new bikes. Johnny was super interested in showing us like how to put the wheels back together, and even just like in general how to build bikes together. And I just remember that being like so cool. I'm like, why are these little tires on this bike? And I didn't really know the history behind lowriding, and but I've always been interested since then. Just really not until high school I got to meet people that were actually lowriding, but I didn't know like who and what clubs there were until I started hanging out with Eric Howard. And so you would always see the different plaques, you would always see the different cars, but you didn't know like more so whose club they were in. Once I got to meet like more people, I started to understand like it seemed out of reach, but I was always surrounded by the lowriders, and if I was able to just hang out with the lowriders, I was happy to be just in the mix and meeting new people that were in the culture. Over the last 8 or 9 years, I've been able to meet Usos from all over the state, all over the country really. I've met Usos from Chicago, Milwaukee, Minnesota, Kentucky, Florida, North Carolina, Hawaii, Ohio. For me, that's been amazing because all the Usos treat me like family, even when meeting me for the first time. So we've shared meals together. They've shown me around their cities, introduced me to their families, shown me their cars. I was even able to meet Kita, the originator of Uso Car Club in Sacramento, really getting to understand the meaning of the car club and the values that they hold, and so they just treat you like family. From that example of being welcomed into their network and being a part of their family, I'd like to continue to honor that and to share those values the same way that it was shown to me. So in 2012, I went to my first Blessing of the Lowriders. I seen USO Car Club members. I seen Good Times Car Club members, Majestic. Seeing all the cars together, seeing all the people that it brought out, really reminded me of going to my first community event as, a kid, and that was when I was about 4 years old in 2000 at the Heat Wall at St. Anne's. It really reminded me of just being together, being and celebrating the neighborhood and celebrating the different cultures that were there. I remember there was like salsa music, there was folkloric dancing, there was really good tacos, and so being there was just so energetic. It was such a vibe. I didn't know how these events were put together, but I just know that I wanted to be able to replicate that for my cousins, my little cousins, my family, and keep doing the things to celebrate community. Organizing the Blessing with Inside Southwest has really given me a different perspective, from when I was little, and being able to meet all the people and kind of work with them to make sure that the Blessing is special and to go back to the roots of why it all started. Hearing the stories from Victor, hearing the stories from Miguel, and being able to drop those details and add those touches to the Blessing has been really dope.
I mean, there is a new generation that's starting to be interested in it, and so they will carry the torch, and they'll have nice built cars. My son's starting to like lowriding because he sees me working on cars all the time. He's starting to like it. Hopefully that'll keep him away from trouble. I mean, just like it has kept me away from trouble. Doing things I shouldn't be doing. Instead, I'll work on cars and enjoy it. I've been able to somewhat pass that down to my son. Hopefully, he carries the same way.
To the young people checking out the cars in Southwest Detroit, find your passion, follow it, and find yourself a mentor to learn everything you can about it. Because 9 times out of 10, they want to tell you about the car as much as you want to learn from the car. And throughout that process, they'll learn more about their culture by teaching you things. At the Heat Wall in 2000, the Blessing of the Lowriders in 2012, and in the Blessing of the Lowriders in 2019, we really used culture as a way to gather community.
Through lowriding, riders are connected and engaged with people they would not meet or have much in common with otherwise. It has brought generations beyond the boundaries of the color of flags, of ethnicities and neighborhoods alike. Lowriders as individuals, clubs, and a culture live out a vision that goes beyond cars to the community it can help create. Past paint as a point of pride, to plaques as an expression of family. Unity is not simple, but in lowriding, we discover a culture that has distracted us from our differences for long enough to find ourselves in deep relationship with one another. In turn, we find ourselves in community. We say this is lowriding, but this is love. Lowriding helped us get there.